John Brown is an anchor in Orlando. He's a local news anchor, and recently he walked off the set in frustration because of yet another Kim Kardashian story or Kardashian story that they were recently doing. Now, this is Good Day Orlando, and he's one of the hosts, and apparently they were talking about like a mind-numbingly dumb story regarding Kylie Jenner naming her bunny Bruce.
Yep.
Like the fact that that's even a news story is ridiculous, but they were covering it, and finally John Brown is like, I'm getting the hell out of here, okay? So he went on this rant that unfortunately we can't show you because of copyright issues. But he says,
pretty epic.
But I'm gonna go ahead and try to reenact what he said. I'm having a good Friday, so I refuse to talk about the Kardashians today. I've had enough Kardashians. I can't take any more Kardashian stories on the show. I don't care about this family. I'm sick of this family. It's a non-story. Okay, and then later on, when he calmed down a little bit, he said, we're talking about the family every freaking day on this show. Nobody cares about this family anymore. I've had enough. And it's incredible because this, of course, resonated with so many people in the country. So many people can relate to his frustration and the fact that these nonsensical stories keep getting pushed out over and over again. But I do think it also raises an interesting question. One of the reasons why the media covers these stories over and over again is because eyeballs are watching, people are listening, people, whether they want to admit it or not, are paying attention to these stories and they're consuming them. So I know that it's the job of the media to make good decisions in terms of what type of topics they cover, but ratings do matter. And unfortunately, stories like this lead to massive ratings.
I think it's a bit of a feedback loop at this point. You know, media feeds into it. The exposure is just, you know, it expands in a way that is mind-numbing to actually watch. You're just absolutely bombarded by Kardashian trash all the time. And then, you know, people sort of, I think that then the audience starts to think that they are supposed to be interested, and that's, you know, what's trending, and that's what people are talking about, and it just feeds on itself. It's a vicious downward spiral, I think, when it comes to these kind of news cycles.
I can say, as someone who works in news, what's difficult is if you're going to cover serious political content, right, that actually has a real direct impact on the people in this country, it just doesn't get much play. I mean, TYT has managed to do something kind of miraculous with the YouTube audience because YouTube audiences are not known to want to consume very nuanced political issues, okay? A lot of them want to have fun. They want to be entertained. That's what YouTube's primary purpose and goal is, to entertain. And so we do a wide variety of content. And it always disturbs me when we do a story that I'm honestly reluctant to do, but it's pushed upon me in in some ways, and it does really well. And then there'll be like, let's say, an education story that I'm super passionate about, and it doesn't do well.
Well, I totally hear you because we'll get all this flack when we cover a story. Like yesterday, we covered the masturbatory study, right?
Yeah, I saw that.
And everyone was like bitching about it in the comments, like this isn't real news, and yet that story had more views than our other segments.
Yes.
You know, and I'm like, what do you want from us? It's a supply and demand business, just like, I mean, this is pure economics, right?
Right.
And so at some point, when do you get high and mighty in your, you know, role as a media organization and decide to like cut something off and be like, no, we absolutely won't cover this categorically for some moral issue, or we just feel like it's completely out of our purview and we don't want to talk about it anymore, even though that, like, again, hurts your eyeballs. And the idea is that I think it is sort of a little bit of a delicate dance. I've used this term before. When it comes to media, I think it applies across the board because you want to engage in those issues to maybe get some of those eyeballs, so then you can feed them something substantive.
That's exactly right. Okay, so that's honestly our business model right there. A lot of the people that watch our political content started off by watching a pop culture or social commentary story that we did in the second hour, a story that might have broader appeal to younger audiences. So every once in a while, I'll get an email from someone who's like 14 or 15, and it'll start off by saying, hey, you know what, I watched your video on, I don't know, Kylie Jenner's cultural appropriation. And that's actually not a dumb topic. That's actually a really interesting, smart topic.
The lip challenge, whatever.
Right, whatever, something like that. And then all of a sudden they stumbled upon Iran's nuclear deal. And they're like, I don't know anything about this. I want to educate myself about it. And then all of a sudden they're not only following the political content that we produce, but they're also being inspired to study political science. And that, to me, is worth doing the shitty stories that I don't really like. And by the way, I hope you guys understand that even when we do topics that might seem shallow on the surface, we try to have an intelligent conversation about it. I think that there are a lot of people out there, whether they want to admit it or not, that are interested in all sorts of stories, lots of variety on this show, and I love that. I love that because I don't want to talk about serious, depressing news all day, every day. I want to have some fun and talk about masturbation. That's okay.
Yeah, it's all about moderation, people. And I don't have a personal vendetta against the Kardashians, but I really appreciate that this guy kind of blew his top. Because I think he sort of is the manifestation of a lot of people in the media who are like, I cannot believe I'm still talking about this family. God bless you, John Brown. Preach.